Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Tiara.
Yes.
Saying your name first, that's weird.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. It is strange. And Micah's still out, thank God.
You got a child.
Terrence is back. Holy shit.
Hello.
There he is.
If you listen to anything else this week, I'm back. And I have.
All right, so
better,
yeah.
if you want.
Terrence is back. He is not. This is not a guest spot. He is back. So for all the people who've been sending, he's not dead. For people who've been sending messages on YouTube, is Terrence coming back? Yes. I wasn't lying. I mean, for a while I probably was lying. But
yeah, you were.
I was like, I don't know. But yeah, he is back. So, all right, this is episode 225 for Waves. Look, this is the 2019 film. If you have Showtime, you can watch it right now. It's also available for rent on like Amazon and things like that. The log line here is the movie traces a journey of a suburban family led by a well-intentioned but domineering father as they navigate love, forgiveness, and coming together in the aftermath of loss. This film is starring Kelvin Harrison Jr., Taylor Russell, Sterling K. Brown, Alexa Demi, Renee Ellis Goldsberg, and Lucas Hedges. I hadn't seen this movie ahead of time. Tiara, you hadn't either. Terrence, you had. So I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on this movie?
It's fine. All right, it's a good movie. I don't necessarily like it that much. But to say it's bad would be kind of fucked up. It's pretty. It's well shot. It's well acted. But the problem I have with the movie is it's more style over substance. Like there's a plot, and the plot is it's thin. It's heavy, but it's very thin. Yeah, it took me almost all day to finish it. The movie's 2 hours and 16 minutes long, right?
It feels very long.
It feels like it's 7 hours long.
Yeah, it feels very long.
I've watched a couple other movies that are around the same time in the last couple of weeks, and they didn't feel as long as this one. This is a movie in 2 parts. It's ridiculous. I don't know. There's something about it I just didn't really like too much, and then I had actually read into it, and I found out why I didn't really like it that much. Because it's written and directed by a white dude. And that sounds fucked up. But the situations and like the feeling of it just didn't feel necessarily black.
Yeah,
you know?
I can understand that.
But it was just way too much. Like there were certain things in the movie that he was just doing just to do. Like all of the car shots with the spinning camera. I'm like, there's no need for that. There were some transitions that took way too long. That they could have cut 30 minutes from this movie easily, with a lot of stylistic choices he made. But overall, it's not bad. It just wasn't for me. So.
Okay, all right, Tiara, your thoughts?
I wish I liked it more. It's not it. When we were supposed to record this, a few weeks ago?
Last week.
Okay,
yeah.
Then I watched it the week before. And when I found out that we weren't going to record that week, I was like, whew, okay, great. I can come back to it. And then I went back.
That's kind of how I felt. I'm not going to lie.
And then today I was like, oh, I have 48 minutes. I was like, oh my God, it's 48 minutes. It was so long. Yeah, I thought I would like it more because I heard that it was such like a movie darling at festivals or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I really loved the first half of it. Great performances all around throughout the movie. But when we get to the second half, I just didn't care about that because it felt so disjointed. I was reading some comments on Reddit and some folks were like, yeah, the second half represents the other part of the wave. And I was like, I guess it just feels like, it feels like,
I guess.
I mean, that's what you want to get from it, but it just felt like the Emily character was just shoehorned in with her storyline. And I feel like I would have cared more about her character if I had gotten some glimpses of some of the things that she was going through, some of her coming of age, and some of her relationship with her father and Catherine and everything. But at the end of it, I was just like, sure, whatever. To me, the movie could have ended with the major event of the film, and then I would have been like, dang, that sucks. And then I would have been like, okay, great. But I also thought I would have gotten a little bit more of dealing with the aftermath of everything that went down between Sterling K. Brown and Renee Goldsberry. Is that her name from Hamilton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I would have gotten more of that and that focus on what happens with Tyler. But no, it was just, okay, this happened to Tyler, and now here's Emily's story. And I'm like, but this feels more like a sequel type of thing and not including this as like a whole separate part of the film. So I guess if I had to give it a rating, like out of 5, 3, maybe, could have been a lot better. So I was a little disappointed. But yeah, very pretty movie. Well acted. Just, I don't think I'll be watching this again.
Okay, that's fair. Look, my thoughts my thoughts are pretty similar to the both of yours. I think the first half is really, it's slow to start, but then once it gets moving like pretty significantly. I think the second, I think the people on Reddit are correct. I think the second half is the other part of the wave. And I'll talk about, like, I don't think it, like, I get what it was going for, but it didn't feel like it was tied enough back to the first part. Not like you got to constantly talk about stuff that happened in the first half, but it felt too disjointed from the first part of the movie. So it felt like if you hadn't watched the first part of the movie, like, you just come in and be like, okay, this is a story. Like, it doesn't feel like you really missed anything, right?
Right.
Where the events of the first half should have been sort of permeating the thought processes of the people, or at least of the sister, in the second half, right? And it only happens in like 1 or 2 scenes where it's kind of addressed, which I thought was a little weird. I really enjoyed the first half. I think that Kelvin Harrison Jr. is, like, weirdly in a way being typecast. Like, this, Monster, Loose, like, they feel very similar characters. And we've done both of those movies, so you should go back and listen to those episodes. But I'm not mad at it, because he's really good at these, like, sort of compelling young men who are, like, going through, like, these kind of weird situations, right? Where he's just, like, kind of thrown headfirst into, like, very adult situations while still being a teenager. I think he's an excellent actor, actually. I'd like to see him branch out and do something different, like wildly.
I don't think I've seen him in anything else. This is the first thing I've ever watched him in.
Oh, you should go back and, because you weren't on those other 2 episodes. You should go back and watch Loose. Loose is a damn good movie, actually. Like,
yeah, Loose is good.
It goes in directions you wouldn't think. Like, it's kind of a, like, it's not scary or anything. You don't have to read the Wikipedia ahead of time. Like,
because
like you try to open it right now. It's like, hold on.
I mean, I kind of have it up, so
don't, because it's actually a pretty interesting, like, twists and turns of the story. Don't worry, your anxiety it'll keep it in check. You're fine. But
There's another movie called Gully that came out about 1.5 years ago.
What's that character? What is that character like comparative to this?
Pretty damn similar.
Right.
Same type. He has the same character. It's weird.
Yeah, like, so he's, like, weirdly being typecast, but he's not being typecast as, like, a garbage role. He's being typecast in, like, these very heavy, like, very weighted roles. So I'd like to see him do something else, because I think the guy has a real knack for this stuff. I also thought Taylor Russell, who plays Emily, his sister, I thought she was really good, like, quite good. Look, you put Sterling K. Brown in the movie, like, he gonna tear it up. Like, that's just who he is. He can't bring a shitty performance. Like, I don't think he's capable of it, honestly. And he gonna try to make you cry, because he's really good at that. But weirdly, he's also good at comedy, which is just fucking bizarre to me. But, like, I like the first half. I thought the second half is a little too disjointed. The movie feels like it has a message, but it kind of loses its way in what that message is right around the second half. And to Terrence's point of like it being directed by a white guy, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't looked it up, but it makes a lot of sense because they don't. When white directors direct, especially black families, they tend to act more generic than black. Not white, just generic. Like they don't. There's nothing uniquely black about their experience and how they see the world. Except there's only one moment in the movie that is about that, which is when Sterling K. Brown says like the world doesn't give a fuck about you or me, you know, like you got to just like keep pushing. But like
that's generic as fuck.
That's a generic, yeah, right.
It's
like
incredibly generic.
Like I can sort of like do a fucking Reed Richards reach on that and to be like, oh, he's like because he's black or whatever. Like I can sort of infer all of that, but like a white dad could say that to a white son, right? Like it's not a uniquely black thing in the exact way that he phrases it. So I think it misses that. And I think like if this had been done by somebody who would experience what it's like to be in a black suburban family, kind of like what the pressures are like from the outside, right? Because there's all this internal pressure. But like there doesn't seem to be any external pressure, which is another thing that if you were a black director, you would know even a black family that's doing well is still going to deal with external pressures. And you wouldn't just ignore that fact. So like I think to the point of it being a white director, I think that matters. It's, you know, I'm not angry about it, but it does matter in how they're portrayed.
You know, I read something else when I finally finished the movie to figure out what the hell was going on with it. The director himself, he wanted, what's his name, Kelvin Harrison, because he did another movie, like I said, I didn't like, with It Comes at Night. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
This guy directed that, and Kelvin Harrison was in that as well. He wanted him in this movie, and he called him up, was like, I want you to be in this movie, pick which role you want. And he could have picked the role, he picked the role, he could have picked this role that he was in, or the white dude's role.
Okay.
The one in the second half.
Yeah.
Lucas Hedges. And he decided to pick this role. So that's why it's so generic. And like, I guess he kind of like threw lines about being black in there, like the part where the woman calls him a nigger at the fucking clinic. I'm like,
yeah, that was weird and didn't make any sense. It made no sense. I was like,
silly, but
why would you say that?
That's why it's so generic, because he could have done either one of these roles, and he chose this one instead, and it would have been a white family instead of
I mean, we wouldn't have done it, obviously, but you know, but yeah, it's there is something lacking about, like we've talked about this on previous episodes. There's just something lacking about like dealing with black families and black people when it is not from a uniquely black perspective as a director. Like it's not bad. It's just that you miss this sort of idiosyncratic nature of what it is to be black in America, because they don't know. Like what the fuck? Like they just don't know. And the way society is, like black people know white America way more than white people know black America. They just do. Like your fucking culture is forced upon us at every waking moment, so we have to know yours. And you generally don't give a shit about ours. So yeah, I think it's a 3 out of 5. I agree with Tiara. I don't need to see it again. Like I got it. So all right, let's get into the plot. The film opens, I'll just quickly jump past this. The film opens with some really, really annoying circular shots in a car. Like, I needed one of those. I didn't need, like, 3 or 4 of those. Like, I got it.
It happened every time they were in a car.
Yeah, I'm like, I got
every
it.
Time.
I got it. Like, you did a thing. You got a gimbal. I got it. Like, just relax. So we meet Tyler. He is a high school student. And he is under extreme pressure from his dad, specifically, Sterling K. Brown's character, who named Ronald, who is like, do your homework, be a great wrestler, like you're gonna go to college, you know, blah blah blah, like all this, like you gotta do, right? I wish Michael was here so I could give him a hard time about this. Cut the grass when you're 5, you know, all that shit.
3-year-old.
Sorry, just one thing, because like I didn't know that the director was white, and now that like
you see it now.
That Tyler was a wrestler. I'm like, I did think that was an interesting choice.
What, you don't know black dudes who wrestle?
I mean, I don't, but it's just
both my fathers.
I mean, I guess I would have chosen like, I don't know, basketball or football. For me,
that's racist, yo. That's racist. Yeah, that's racist.
I mean, it was just like,
Well, the director is a
Interesting.
wrestler. He was a wrestler.
Oh, okay. Well, then that makes sense.
oh, okay.
I mean, it makes sense for his injury, right? Like,
Right.
and I can talk about that one from personal experience. So when we get there,
Were you a wrestler?
no, but I had the exact same injury that he has. So yeah, like that shit hurts like a lot, like a whole lot. And he shouldn't have done what he did. That was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around how he was able to get away with that, but we'll get to it.
You know what? Yeah, we are gonna talk about that because black people don't like. Nah, yo, like you know what? We'll get to it. Like you don't just go to the doctors like on some major shit and your parents don't know. Yo, black families don't do shit like that.
Thank you.
I was like,
Thank
yo,
you. I'm
yo,
like,
you
how
go
the
to a
fuck is this
major
nigga
doctor, yo. Like
secretly going to the doctor,
nah,
taking secret MRIs. Like that shit ain't cheap.
nah, yo.
Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, where are the fathers? Like where's this kid's parents?
I mean, but also with an overbearing father like that in particular, wouldn't he be there like for that appointment?
Yeah, you think.
I mean, I know the character, like, because I noticed that too, but I was like, maybe the character's 18 and he was, so maybe his parents didn't have to be there, but it was still weird.
Nah, yo, I'm like,
Maybe 27, my mother still be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah, like,
okay.
all right,
This is strange.
look, my mom went with me when I had to get my surgery. Like, yo, like, I was in my 30s, you know, like, what the fuck? I was married. My wife and my mom were there. Fuck out of here. So, like, here's the thing. Tyler is this, you know, he's this kid. I guess he's a senior in high school. He's under this immense pressure. He's on the wrestling team or whatever. He's dating this girl named Alexis. And she's and like, you know, they are like, everything is perfect, right? It like there's clearly extreme pressure, but like everything is like pretty perfect, right? He's got this girlfriend, his black family goes to church, like everybody, you know, everything is good. He parties, but like he's still about his work and shit like that. Like we get an interaction about 10 minutes into the movie where after church, Ronald, the father, and Tyler, like they're all four of them, you know, the brother, the sister, the mom, and the dad are all at like a diner or whatever, eating after church, as black people often do. And like the father and the son are like having an arm wrestling match. Like there's weird internal competition and shit. But now that I'm looking at this again, like there is almost no interaction whatsoever between the father and the daughter at all in this first half, which is important. It lays the groundwork for the second half, in fairness. So the dad is like all about focusing on, you know, getting his son over, like making sure his son does what he needs to do, right? And they have this like weird competitive nature, and like it's a little strange. You do come to find out that Tyler is like secretly using oxy because he has what's called a slap tear, which is like a major tear in your fucking labrum, basically like your rotator cuff for folks who don't know. And they tell him that he goes to the doctor without his parents, which is again very weird. He gets a whole ass MRI and diagnosis. And the doctor's like, look, you have a level 5. I've never even seen that shit in person. Like this is crazy. Like your arm is about to fall off. Like knock it the fuck off. And he's like, well, if I could just get the surgery at the end of the season and like recover in the summer. He was like, nah, yo, don't wrestle now ever again. You're gonna fuck your whole life up. But because he's under such massive pressure to like be perfect, right? At this point, all of his stresses are internally from his dad, right? And he's like, he feels the stress, so he can't go to his parents and be like, yeah, like I've got this fucking level 5 tear. I can't wrestle. I'm going to disappoint my family and my friends and the team, my coach and all this other shit. So he just goes through with it, right? And he actually ends up in this wrestling match. I guess it's like right before state finals or what have you, or it is state finals. And he gets his arm fucking wrecked. And he gets it fully torn. Look, I had a level 4 tear. This guy had a level 5 tear. Look, that shit is fucking horrendous. Like the fact that he was even able to do a wrestling match is fucking nuts. Like, just speaking from personal experience.
How did you get it? What did you do?
Doing something stupid in the gym.
What were you doing?
I was doing dumbbell flies, and I fucking let it fall back, which you should never do, and fucking just
Ooh, ouch.
yeah.
Oof.
Because other people, you'll be fine. Nah, yo, you won't be fine. Don't do that shit. It's stupid. So I have 3 nice, I don't know if you could still see it, but I have like 3 fucking holes, like puncture holes, one in the front of my shoulder and one in the back. Yeah. So, when your arm goes numb when you're writing something, like you go to the doctors, like, no, it's a bad idea. So the fact that he was able to even push a guy off of him is fucking crazy. So it's a pretty horrendous recovery too. It does not feel good. But yeah, so he ends up like pushing himself too far, fucking his arm up, and things get real bad. Like this is like the moment this happens. This is like 22 minutes into the movie. Like the moment this shit happens, like everything starts to fall apart in his life, right? Again, he's using Oxycontin like to kind of numb the pain, unbeknownst to his dad, right? Like, but his dad kind of knew, because at one point his dad comes downstairs and he's like, "Hey, did somebody take my pain pills?" And they were like, "Nah." And he was like, "All right, just asking." Like, well, who the fuck else would be taking them, dude? Like,
right, that was weird. You just kind of let it rock. I'm like,
and I think that's
fucking things to play with,
right? But I think that's partially because he knew his son was using it and knew that like he was using it to kind of get over and further his career in wrestling. So he just let him do it, which is like really fucked up, because your son can get addicted to it and then end up a heroin addict. But I digress.
Now, did you notice, because this movie again has got a bunch of stylistic choices, did you notice that after he gets the injury, he's in the bathtub, and he floods the bathroom?
Yeah.
The aspect ratio changes.
Yes, I did notice.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
No, it changes 4 times.
Yeah, I noticed after the major shit, it changes, like after the major event. I don't know what the reason is.
I felt like, the first half, I feel like it was like the walls are closing in on him, right? Like the aspect ratio is changing, because he did it in another movie too. I think he did it. It Comes at Night also, which I hate that movie. But like, I feel like at each major change, it's like he's getting to his breaking point to when he does what he does, and then it changes to the 4-3.
Yeah,
right after he does what he does. I'm like, that's weird. I didn't notice that the first time because I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to it, but I noticed it this time. I thought I was tripping. And I'm like, what the fuck is what's wrong? Because I found it, and I thought something was wrong with the copy that I found. To be honest, I had to look at it. I'm like, oh, okay. I rewound. I'm like, okay, I'm not bugging. Cool.
Nah, it's not a Michael Bay moment where he's just changing the aspect ratio because he didn't record it right. I did notice that. I was like, why are we doing this? Like, okay, but the wall's closing in. All right, I get it. That's
my only explanation, because again, he's just doing shit just to do it because he can. So
yeah, I mean, it's
the direct concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's a well shot movie. I will give him credit. So like we get this conversation where after he's like actually. He tears his shoulder, and he's like, he's fucked. The most fucked up part of that scene is that here he is laying on the ground, and I actually like the way the scene is shot, because it's like really intense, and wrestling is like very close quarters, obviously. So they do a good job in shooting this. But he gets up, he's got his fucking shoulder iced or whatever. He's literally like laying in, like his mom is holding him and he's crying, and he looks over and he sees his dad who's sitting on the bench, and his dad has a face of disappointment. Like not a face of concern, not a face of like, that's my son, like, like where you would think, like, if my daughter plays sports when she's older and she gets like a severe fucking injury, I'm already over at the mat. I'm like, I'm not standing on the bench waiting to see like what's going on. But he's quite literally standing. I guess they're in the locker room, and he's just standing away from him, and he's just looking at him like just pissed off and disappointed that, like, I guess his vicarious dreams of his son being this like great athlete are fucking dashed. Which is weird. Please don't live vicariously through your kids. Like, it's, I mean, we all do it to some extent, but like not to the point of like letting them be destroyed and then you getting us sad about it. Like, it's fucking weird.
Well, he did tell him that there was a scene where he was talking to him and he was telling him, you chose wrestling. You don't want to work with me. So this is on you.
Yeah, and he was like, you chose to
I'm
train with me too.
This. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, did he say train with me or chose not to train with me? I can't remember what he said.
No, train with me. Because remember, they'll like train together and shit like that. But yeah, like basically, like you chose these options, so I'm gonna push you to the fucking breaking point with all of it. Yeah. That's just really good parenting. I don't know, man. You should definitely push your kids until they fall off a fucking cliff. Look, I mean, Micah's not here to verify this, but he'll tell you too. Like, we went to high school with a guy who was like played sports, like specifically played football, and he was like a friend of ours. And the guy was pushed to be like so good at football and everything else that when he got to college, he didn't make the team. He killed himself.
Or he got like, dude, what the fuck? Okay.
He did, yeah, like he did, or like he got cut from a college team and he killed himself. Because he felt like it was a massive disappointment. And it's just like those kind of things, man, like that's a hard road to run, to like push your kid to like do well without pushing them till it fucks and fucking breaks them. Like, it's super dangerous. It's a super dangerous thing. And look, I don't pretend to say that it's super easy to just like ride that line. No, it's not. Because you don't want your kid to be a lazy piece of shit, because then that could also destroy their lives. So you have to kind of push them. But I don't know, Tiara, did your mom push you hard or no?
Yeah.
Get out of my house.
And I did. All across the country. Never moving back.
Okay. Wow. All right. This is the other part of the wave, apparently.
So I'm trying to remember, because it's been a couple weeks since I saw the first half of the film. I keep on thinking, was there a part where Sterling K. Brown was like wanted his son to take over, I guess, whatever the family business is? I can't remember if that was like
he shows
did say that.
Oh, does he actually say like I want?
He in that same speech, he's like, "Hey, you chose wrestling. You don't want to work with me and possibly take over the family business someday or some shit like that." That was all in that speech, and then he takes him to work. I think I don't remember the sequence of events, but he did take him to the construction site, and he's like, "One day you might have a bedroom like this or whatever."
Right, you'll be doing pretty good.
Yeah. So, a couple of things about their relationship. Or not, yeah. Well, he's going to have a bedroom, sort of, for at least 30 years.
All together. It's an efficiency.
So it felt like that his encouragement of his son trying wrestling was actually like more of a punishment for not wanting to follow in his footsteps. But also, their relationship was a little bit interesting to me, and now kind of wish that we had spent more time understanding their dynamics a bit, because the moments where they were training together, that felt like genuine bonding moments. Like I didn't feel.
Yeah, I like that. I actually like those scenes.
When they you see buff ass Sterling K. Brown.
He's way too jacked for a dramatic actor. He's way too jacked. It's ridiculous.
And then you see Kelvin Harrison Jr., who plays an 18-year-old is actually like 27-year-old life, but it's still kind of like scrawny, like trying to match up with his dad. Like stuff like that made me go like, oh, that's really nice. So it's just, I don't know. I kind of wish we had gotten more of that like relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? Like this, like those moments. I actually like those scenes of like them wrestling and stuff like that. I actually really like those, because it's like, that is what, like, that's what your dad's supposed to do with you, right? Like, supposed to, I mean, not necessarily work out with you, whatever, but like figure out whatever it is you guys bond over, and do those things with you, right? Like, and solidify that relationship so it lasts a lifetime. It would have been nice, but I guess maybe the director's point is like, those moments are few and far between, right? Like, you get to work out with your dad. That's like once every like fifth Saturday, but the rest of the time he's like, get your fucking homework done. Don't even come downstairs and say hello to your mother. Like, God.
Well,
damn.
I mean, but I got the feeling that they train together often. So
I
so
hope
the
so.
scene where he breaks his shoulder or whatever, and Sterling K. Brown is just like staring at him with like looking disappointed. That did not that felt a little out of character to me because that's not what I got from their relationship earlier in the film.
That's fair.
I got the feeling that his father pushed him, but his father wouldn't sit there and just let his son cry like that in the middle of a competition like that, and then not comfort him. Like I didn't get that feeling from everything that he'd shown before.
Yeah, I did. I gotta tell you, I did. And the reason why I would say I did is because like Sterling K. Brown's relationship with his son felt competitive. Like it felt like weirdly competitive. Like the arm wrestling scene in the diner, like it wasn't really for jokes. It was like, oh, you think you take your old man? Like, ha ha ha. No, but for real, nigga, like let's do it. Like, all right, yo, why are you so serious? Like, relax. Like he just had this like sort of undercurrent of he had a shitty relationship with his father, and he was trying to do it the best he knew how, but how he knew how to do it was like I'm here. Like my dad probably wasn't there. I'm here, but I'm like kind of a piece of shit about it. I'm like, all right, nigga, you here, but like I'd rather you not be. Like, goddamn, you're like it's a little too much. Like that's the whole thing. Is like he's so domineering with his son, and then weirdly doesn't give a fuck about his daughter, seemingly at all. It's really
Like
almost like she wasn't there. Like it really feels like he just didn't remember he had a daughter until he sort of lost the son.
Yeah,
like his relationship with his son was like strictly based on masculinity, just what he thinks masculinity is.
Exactly.
That's why he didn't give a fuck about his daughter, because he's like, I don't know what y'all chicks do. What the fuck? Like, your mother take care of that. So
yeah, I mean that's quite literally their relationship, because later on the wife is like, you just leave me to just deal with her all the time. Like you don't have no sort of fucking interaction with her at all. It's like vaginas. I don't know. I like sorry. Just muscles and fucking weights. That's all I know. Like that's he's like okay. But it is. But that's like that. That's their relationship is, you know. And it is weird because you could make a decent argument that like that hypermasculine or hypermasculinity vantage point or viewpoint that he has with his son is the reason his son falls the way that he falls, right? Like his reaction to his girlfriend, which we'll get into, is like this, like, how could you do this to me, bitch? Like it's like fucking crazy, and you're like, oh, okay, like you don't actually value her opinions or stuff like that, which the girlfriend brings up later and kind of throws it directly in his face. So yeah, I think Sterling K. Brown's character might be kind of an asshole. Like he might be, you know, he's not a good dad. Like he's trying, like, because he's the best he knows how to do, and generally that comes from you being raised by a shitty dad yourself, right? You're trying to like do like 1% better than the last time, and some people overcome that, and some people end up like Sterling K. Brown's character, like, you know.
That is not the man he plays on This Is Us.
Yeah, so, I know. And you know what? I love it. Good. The man's got range. He's a good, loving father on This Is Us. He's the fucking, the Negaduck version over here. He don't give a fuck about one of his old kids. So, yeah.
Ronald and Randall would not get along at all.
Nah, this is an evil twin. He got a mustache in this? Like, which one?
Yes. He has a mustache and This Is Us too.
Yeah, whatever. They both evil. So in the background of all of this, like shoulder tear and using oxy and the domineering dad and all this other shit, and like things are spiraling, beginning to like we're at the top of the roller coaster, right? And shit is getting ready to just start going down like real fast. We come to find out like Tyler's girlfriend, Alexis, is like, hey, I'm late. Like, and they like, she drops it once, and then there's like all this shit that happens, and like we kind of forget about it. And then she's like, I'm still fucking concerned. It's been 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh shit, that's right. That's still pending. Like, we have not answered that email yet, like, which was kind of fucked up. But it's played really well because I was totally like focused in what was happening to him. I was like, oh shit, yeah, nigga, you got to answer for that. Y'all got to figure this shit out too. And so she finds out she's pregnant. And so he tries to do the guy shit of like, I mean, what you want to do? Like he want to say it first, which is fucked up. I mean, look, I've never been in that situation. I never have, but I know people who have. I've seen plenty of movies and television and shit, and that's always the guy's move. Like, I won't be an asshole. Like, cause there's only two responses, right? Is it mine? Which is not a good response. It's a terrible response. Or what you want to do, right? Like, which is not a great response either, but it's your only real response that you can
what
get.
else are you supposed to say?
You can't.
Jay,
Like,
say.
You fucked up.
Like, it depends the age, right? I mean, this nigga's 18.
Right. Yeah, you like
They're both 18, so
right.
it's like,
if you're 30, like, yeah, you'd be like, is it mine? Like, that's just obviously that's what you go with first. Don't go with that answer. That's a terrible answer. But yeah, he goes, like, what you want to do? And she's like, I don't know. What you want to do? I'm like, don't do that. No, you don't lay down a reverse Uno card back to me. Yo, don't do that. Nah, yo. I asked you first. Your body, your choice. Don't do that. But yeah, so they have to contemplate the situation of being 18 and do they want to become parents. They decide that they're gonna go. She's gonna go and have an abortion. They go to an abortion clinic. It's a very weird situation. Shout out to maybe leaving the state of Florida because Jesus Christ, yo, you gotta go to a blue state, my nigga. Like these people outside yelling at you. Fuck out of here.
For a second, I was like, this isn't in California, right? I'm like, I know these are like, I see a bunch of palm trees. They're at the beach, but I was like, this does not feel like.
Nah, this is Ron DeSantis' household.
Florida and through.
Yeah, like get the fuck out of here. So they go, and like shit don't work out because there's a weird moment, right? And this is like one of those sort of like weird directorial choices. There's a weird moment. They get to the abortion clinic. They see some people outside and they're holding signs. Babies, whatever. Mind your fucking business. And they go inside and the security guard gives this like bizarro speech. He's like, okay, am I the only person who thought it was weird?
I'm like, why is he saying all of this? Okay. I mean, good for him. I get it. But at the same time, like, nigga, this is not necessary. We see them.
Right, like
crazy as women out there.
Right, so the security guard gives a speech and he's like, "Listen, like I've been doing this for like 20 years or whatever. Like I'm here to protect you. You what you're doing is like your business, kind of thing. And he's like, but I got your back. Don't worry about it. But I need you to have my back." And I'm like, "One nigga, you have a gun. Like I don't have your back." Showed up.
Didn't he say that someone did bring a gun?
Yeah, he said that the women sometimes
they have guns. Yeah,
right. Which is like, I'm glad you guys are pro-life. That was a bit weird. Hypocrisy. And so he's like, "Look, I need you to have my back. Again, you have the gun, my nigga. Like, relax." And he's like, "Just don't go messing with these women, right? Like, no, they're gonna say some horrible shit to you. Like, just don't fuck with them. Like, just ignore them." Alexis goes in the back. She comes out. She's like, "We need to just go." And she's upset and they leave. And they're walking to the car and these women are yelling, baby killer, baby killer. And then one lady just yells, "Nigger." I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, wait, what? That seems wildly
I think that was a scene where I was like definitely making something in my kitchen, just having it on in the background, and then I heard, and I was like, I actually had to look at the TV. I'm like, what? Did something?
you pause it. Like, whoa. Who got called a nigger?
He just threw it in there. Why did he call him a nigger? I'm like, he threw it in there because he picked this character, so now I got to make it seem okay. I got to throw a quick nigger in there. I'm like, why?
Right, like, look, I don't
the girl wasn't black.
Right, she's Latin, right? And it was weird because like I'm not saying, like, trust me, I would be the last person to defend these people who stand outside of abortion clinics. That seems that is completely unreasonable to me. I once got into a yelling match with a guy at a like Children's Day, something like that, and he was one of these fucking psychos, and I was just like, their kids around. What the fuck is wrong with you? And my wife was like, please stop yelling at them. I was like, I'm not gonna stop yelling at this person. I got in trouble. But it's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm not a fan of those people. But I don't know that like just abject racism is like the move for them. Like it just felt weird. Like she could have said something to get under his skin, sure, but like nigger just felt like random. Like it was just like Jungle Bunny. Like what the fuck? Like yo, what? I'm getting in my car, yo. Like all right, lady. Like all right, relax. It was just fucking weird. Like and then he starts yelling at her like, "You can't say that. You can't call me a nigger." I'm like, and I was just like,
she did.
I was like, one, that look again. That's how I know a white dude wrote it. I'm like, that's not the response from a black dude. Like a black dude ain't gonna be like, you can't call me that. I would have gone over there. I'd have ripped up every sign they.
Well, actually, and
fuck you.
I mean, and if we're keeping it true to character, with that black guy in particular, no, I don't think him saying, considering what he does later, it would have made perfect sense for him to go on and like beat that woman's ass or something.
All I'm saying is you can't say that feels like a very tame generic response from a black man being called a nigger from a distance by a white woman. Nah, yo. Like no. Like
it would have been a different scenario.
Yeah, 100%.
He's like excuse me? Normally I don't do this, but you know, get the fuck out of here.
Like, let me see your sign. Smash it right over your head. Get out of here, yo. Like, no. You're not just gonna call me a nigga and just stand there. Like, that's not how it's gonna play out. I'm sorry.
But she might have a gun, like dude said.
Yeah, I get it. But I would have come out my mouth with a little bit more fury. I feel like I know me. I would not have been well. Like I would not have been well. I would have lost my fucking mind. Nah, my newly pregnant girlfriend would have had to pull me into that truck. I can tell you that. You need to relax. Like fuck that. But fight this lady real quick outside of this abortion clinic. People will support me. They'll be fine. They'll be like, nah, she deserved it. What'd she say? You called him a nigger to his face? Oh shit. That's just a wild word to use.
Security guard would have had your back.
Yeah, I mean, like, shoot him, dog. Like, you black too. Like, get the gun. Let's go. You and I walk over there together. Let's go talk to him. Like, yo, she might have been talking to you. So they go to the abortion clinic. That all happens. He gets called a nigger, weirdly. And then they drive off. And while they're driving, Alexis is like, nah, I couldn't do it. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? Huh? Speaking to my good ear. Like, I can't hear you. And she was like, nah, I couldn't, I just couldn't go through it. I don't think I could get an abortion. And my man just fucking lost it. And he was like, the fuck you mean you get, like, my life. Like, he started fucking freaking out. And like, to her point, she's like, yo, you're not thinking about me at all. Like, you're only thinking about yourself. And it's like, yeah, Tyler's a bit of an asshole. It's almost like he's a selfish person, only thinking of what he wants, like his father. And not considering the feelings of a woman. Shocking news. And so, yeah, he just like flips out. And look, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of it from anybody. Yo, keep your hands to yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Like, yo, she just started smacking him up, and she was just like, fuck you, and just smacked him, and then she jumped out of the car, and then he tried to be like, nah, baby, please, get in the car. And then she was like, nah, fuck you. And then they start screaming at each other. And then he just drove off. Yeah. Have you ever gotten into an argument? I've never hit anybody. I've never been hit. I don't do that shit. But have you ever gotten into an argument with somebody in a car, like, and then gotten out? Like, and you in a, like, or they've gotten out, like, and you're in a random fucking spot? That happened to me once.
No. I don't like being yelled at.
So yeah, you did get into an argument.
I got into an argument. I'm saying there was no hitting. Just like, just yelling. Yelling back and forth. And then the person got out, and I was like, well, fuck you. And then I drove 5 feet, and then I stopped. I was like, all right, come on now. Let's knock it off.
I mean, like, what are what can you do? Like they get angry. It's like, yo, I'm walking. I'm like, I can't let you You're pregnant. I can't let you walk home.
Nah, I wouldn't have let her walk.
Please.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't think he did. Did he? Because she gets out and then he takes off. Then he stops. He's like, fuck. And then he turns back around. I don't know if she gets back in the car. At that point, like, what do you want me to do? Like, drive 5 miles an hour when you walk the fuck home? Like,
I mean, that's what I
don't know
did.
how far away they are.
I mean, that's what I did until she got tired.
She got back in the car?
Yeah, get back in the car, yo. Like,
yeah, like that's what I'm not gonna sit there. Like,
if
I'm not going to let you walk home.
Look, theoretically, if you got out of the car on Ricestown Road down by, like, what the fuck is the name of that? Like, near that shopping plaza. I can't remember the name of it. Like, near the Panera Bread, all the way by Trader Joe's. Like, and we live in Owens Mills. That's a hike. Nigga, that's a hike. You not gonna walk that far. That's a long-ass walk.
Wait, from there to where?
Owens Mills.
That's hard shit.
That's hard shit.
Yeah, that's a good smooth, like 7 miles, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
Well,
that's
depends.
a good.
It depends on what street you go down.
Yo, she was wearing fancy clothes, yo. Like, that's a good 2-hour walk, yo. You don't want that. You don't want that. Get in the car. Stop playing. Yeah. So
yeah, that's a bop.
Yeah, I was like, look, what you want to do? Blah, 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 blah. All right. You gonna get back in? Yeah, I'm a piece of shit.
Back in the car, like, come on.
Yeah. I'm a piece of shit. I get that. You are too, a little bit. Let's go home. Yeah, but nah, like, don't hit each other, man. Like, just don't. Like, it's not acceptable. Like, it's not acceptable anyway, but it's certainly not acceptable from his ass. Like, no, nigga, don't do that. But he doesn't hit her in this scene, but really does set a precedent, which is a fucking problem. He according to this, he grunts in frustration, which I found to be hilarious. So he, I guess, eventually drives her home, or she makes it home or whatever, and he's pissed, right? And he tries to, like, just not think about it. He tries to lift weights with his shoulder post surgery. Yeah, that didn't work out. And I was like, nigga, what are you doing? No, don't do that. You fuck your shit up all over again. And so he's just spiraling at this point, right? He's just drinking a lot and hangs out with his friends. He's doing more oxy because of course he is. He's going to, like, a bonfire. At one point he sees her there, but she doesn't talk to him because she don't fuck with him like that. And then eventually, like, they start texting, and he's like, look, I'm real sorry about, like, I was an asshole. And she was like, I was being an asshole too. And she was like, I've made a decision. And it's, like, weird, like, build up for no reason. She's like, I made a decision. You might not like it. I'm like, so you're going to keep it. Like, what the fuck? Like you already, you gave away the ghost. Like, we got it.
Right.
And so, you know, she's like, look, I talked to my parents already. They support me, you know, and she was like, he calls her immediately and she doesn't pick up. And he gets pissed, understandably. Like when my wife texts me and I call her right back and she doesn't pick up the phone. I'm like, you had your phone. You just texted. You just did. Yo. How? You texted and you put your phone.
It happens.
No, don't do that. Don't text and asking me a question and then don't have your phone. That's just maddening. But she purposely doesn't. Yo, you just texted me to ask me a question. It happened to me today. I was like, yo, I just texted you. You know why?
It happens,
pick it up.
Jay.
Nah, yo. I don't know what I don't know what you people do with your phones. It's very weird.
Put it down and walk away.
No, see. You're not that busy. So she purposely isn't picking up because she doesn't want to talk to him. And so he's like, yo, we can't deal with this over fucking text. And she's like, you're just gonna get mad, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, we're over. I was like, whoa, okay, wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. This, I was like,
and then she blocked him, right?
Yeah, she blocked. She was, I'm blocking him. I'm like,
you now. I'm like, well.
He was like, I'm coming over. She was like, no, the fuck you're not. Block. I'm like, yo, all right. That's my son too. Like, which is fucked up. Like, that's not a way to start a life. Y'all gonna have a kid in common. Like, you have to grow pass your bullshit between the two of you to raise a child, even if you're not raising the child, together necessarily. But she was like, block, nigga. Like, I'm done with you. And that just broke his brain. And I get it. I don't get his response, but I get just being kind of broken about that. Like that's fucking weird, right? Like this idea that you have a child in the world and you're not able to like see them or like do anything with them is fucking strange. I just can't imagine. But this is why 18-year-olds shouldn't have kids. Sorry. Like they shouldn't. Like you shouldn't. Like you're not ready for this responsibility. It's ridiculous. So from there, like he starts like stalking her on social media. I guess the socials that he actually has access to since he's been blocked. And he sees like she's like going to prom with some other dude. And he starts like flipping out. He's like drinking and like he's getting all like angry and furious over it and shit.
Like destroying his room, right?
Right.
Is that scene?
Yeah. And look, that the destroying his room thing happens right after he like, gets blocked, and then he's just like, fuck. And then his dad or his mom are like, open the door, like what's going on, and again, his response is that of an 18-year-old. Hence, they shouldn't be having children. Like, you're not mentally mature enough to have kids. You're just not. I mean, some people make it, sure, but like, ideally, you shouldn't be. So it's prom night. We see Alexis. She's at prom. She actually is talking to Tyler's sister. And it's weird because like Tyler's sister doesn't, or what's Tyler's sister's name? Emily. She doesn't even mention like, hey, weren't you dating my brother? Like, are you okay? Is everything good with y'all? Like, she's just like, I like your lipstick. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how, like, there's no human interaction. This is weird. So there's like an after party at prom, from prom, and Tyler's like, nah, fuck that. I'm going. I'm gonna confront her. I'm gonna do my shit. He walks out of his room. His mom is like, yo, why do you smell like alcohol? Like, the fuck is wrong with you? And like, he's like, look, you're not my mom, which this is the first time we're hearing that this is not his actual birth mom, like his stepmom. Right. And he's like, you're pathetic. Fuck you, bitch. And I'm like, all right. I feel like Sterling K. Brown got to kick your ass. Like that feels fair to me. Like you can't, nah. You
like, I mean, to me, like Sterling K. Brown had one too many. Stop talking to your mother like that. Like I think he said it like 2 or 3 times before they actually
trying to give you an out.
And I was like, I thought that was a little weird because I was like, clearly this boy is not stopping. So I don't know. I feel like not sure what my father would have done if I were like spouting off like that, but knowing some other black dudes and their father figures, they wouldn't have said it more than once if they would have said it once.
Look, there is something about, and I didn't personally have, well, no, I'm about to lie on myself. No, that's not true. There is something like weird about like growing up as a young man where you hit a moment where like if your relationship with your dad isn't great, like you kind of want to fight that nigga. Like, you do, like Terrence. Like you might have, it might be a fleeting moment, right? Like, but there might be a time you're like, I want to take a shot at the king. Like, I want to see what's gonna happen.
I can't believe I'm about to say. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I wish Michael was here.
Damn. No, but he'd probably tell you the same thing. Actually, I know he would. I know he would. But like there is a part of that. There is a part of that. Like not with my stepdad. Like my stepdad was like a perfectly nice guy. But like with my dad, like. I kind of want to fight that nigga. Like, because like you're, it's like weird growing pains, right? Like you're trying to become a man, you're trying to assert yourself in a particular manner and stuff like that. I'm saying if you don't have a great relationship with your dad, I'm not saying if you have a great relationship with your dad, like then you don't feel that way.
Yeah.
But if it's not so great, then you do feel like that because like, especially in a society that teaches you like, teaches young boys like talk back with your fists, right? Like we do. That's what we teach young boys of like, if you feel like you're being disrespected, like aggression is okay, right? Like the only feelings you should ever have is happiness and anger. Like, nigga, there are other emotions, like, but we don't really teach young boys that. Like, so it does make sense that a lot of young men feel that way. And you see that very specifically in this scene. So like this scene does not, I mean, he's saying some wild shit to his parents. Like, couldn't be
I'd have
me.
got knocked the fuck out. I had a pretty dope relationship. Well, it was off. It was fine.
See?
But he'd have knocked me the fuck out.
Yeah, you're not going. You're not gonna say your mother's a condescending bitch. Like you're not gonna say that, yo. Like,
no. Yeah, I'd have body slam because my father used to wrestle. He'd have fucking hit me with a goddamn choke slam.
Yeah, and you really deserved it.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you got it. I'm sorry. And I went right back up to my room.
Yeah, like it's you know, like ow. Everything hurts. But yeah, like so he's having that moment, right? That idea of like wanting to like assert himself over top of like his father's power, right? Which is I wouldn't have done that. But
he did.
And he did.
I think his father was just like, I don't want to fuck this nigga up, so I'm gonna just let him go.
Yeah.
Because that was weird. He like pushed him to the ground and then he just walked out. I'm like,
yo, he got one good shoulder, yo. You got one good shoulder. I'll knock your ass out. Boy, if you don't get out of here with that. Yeah, he was like, yo, I fucking hate you, man. Like, and he like he's letting out all of that shit that's like been boiling in the back of his mind, right? That idea of like you're impressing me and stuff like that. And like he feels like his life has been ruined because of his father's like fucking death grip on his life. And I get it. But like, your dad ain't tell you to have sex with your girlfriend without a condom on, my nigga. Like, that wasn't your dad. I guarantee your dad told you the opposite. Like, so, nah. And look, this how you know you deep in it and you done already fucked up. When you talk to your father who clearly looks like he could kick your ass and you like, come at me, bro. Like, nah, yo. Like, don't do that. Yo, I'm not one of your friends.
But again, he did it, and he just walked out. Like this was written by a white dude. But no, even I don't know what the fuck this nigga was writing.
No, a white dad would have whooped that ass too.
He fucking hit him with a fucking Coors Light or some shit. I don't know what the fuck. Like that's weird. Like that's weird that he just allowed him to do that.
Yeah, because it's and look, maybe that as a father, you just we'll have to ask Mike and fucking. Yeah, like maybe, we have to ask Mike in 15 years. Like,
maybe he was in shock. I don't know. He looked kind of...
Ain't that much shot in the world. Sorry, I'm not letting you do that to me.
I'd like to think that Micah's two sons are going to gang up on him and just beat his ass when they're both 18. Like, yo, dad, what's up?
Fucking 21, and the other one will be 18.
I mean,
he in a world.
He gonna be like 60 years old. They gonna fuck him up.
They were like, yo, what's up, pops?
I mean, he already has one of them doing like house and yard work.
Yeah, he gonna be all. He gonna be like little Paul Bunyan, some jacked ass little baby out there doing lawn work. It's fucked up. Look, I will say this: there has been a horrible precedent of using Kanye West songs in movie trailers, and it has almost always been bad. This is the one time I feel like his song is used properly. After he pushes Sterling K. Brown down to the ground, they play, what is it? I Am a God. Which is a pretty good, like, just like, the beat is really good for like that scene where, cause he's like fucking out of his head. But like where he's driving and he's just like fucking totally nuts. Like I was like, yeah, that's what an arrogant asshole would be listening to. So yeah, that's about right. So like it's the one time I was like, yes, this is appropriate use of Kanye's music. And so Tyler, after pushing his dad down and not being beaten to a bloody pulp, in some fucking fantasy universe. He decides that he's going to go to the after party where he sees that Alexis and all her friends are post prom. And they're all having fun. Again, his sister is there. And he starts just following Alexis around in this house. And like his parents are calling this kid, whoever's house it is, and was like, yo, your mom was calling for you, saying it was a family emergency. He's like, nah, I'm good. Don't worry about it. And his friend is like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm like, come on, man. Like, be a better friend. God damn. Also, where are these kids' parents? Like, yo, what the fuck? You just leaving these $1 million mansions and just like, you guys have fun. I'm like, no. That's how I know white people wrote this. Out of here. Black people just go to a hotel. Duh. I mean, it is what we do. So Tyler sees this guy with Alexis, and he is fucking flipping out, and he's just drinking more at this party and everything else. And he finally confronts her when she's alone. And things go from bad to worse. And he's like, look, he was like, look, we can keep it. We could keep it. Like, again, not giving us a lot of confidence in you wanting to be a father by saying we can keep it. Like,
yeah,
just saying.
It's not a dog, maybe it's a baby. It's a child.
It's a potential for a child. Yes. And so he's like, did you fuck him? Like, oh, you shouldn't be drinking right now. And she's like, yo, these drinks are for my friends. Like, I'm not drinking. And she's like, yeah, these are my friends. You never got a chance to, like, you never took an opportunity to meet. And then he's like, yo, you blocked me. And like, and he's like, he's starting to get pissed. And like, she throws the beers down and then slaps him a couple times. And then he slaps her back and she falls and she hits her head on the ground. And she starts bleeding. And look, I'm not a doctor, but if somebody's bleeding from their head while laying on the ground unconscious, you fucked up big time. Like, it's not good. Not good. Look, you gotta keep your cool, man. You gotta keep your cool. Like, you don't grab a woman and like throw her back in a corner so you can talk to her. Like, don't do shit like that. Don't touch people, man. Don't do that. This is a mistake. Also, don't have an argument with your pregnant girlfriend while drunk. That's a bad idea. Like, because you're not thinking straight. You're just not. This is horrible. And he's like, look at me. I'm here for you, bitch. is his line.
Like, wild fucking, yeah.
So, I mean, and she's like, stop calling me a bitch. And he's like, yeah, you're a stupid ass bitch. And, all this other stuff. Fuck you. And then he's like, we should go to an abortion clinic and get rid of it. Again, I'm like, not doing well. You're not doing well. And then he smacks her in the face and she falls and she dies. And the second he sees her bleeding, he realizes what the fuck he did. And he runs out of there. Cause somebody discovers her and, it just literally spirals. He drives home. He goes and changes his clothes for some reason. He tries to escape. He gets caught by the cops because of course he does. Sterling K. Brown shows up to the party because he was tracking his phone. And he sees Emily, his sister there. And he's like, was Tyler here? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, they see the girl being brought out in a gurney. It's like, is that his ex-girl or is that his girlfriend? And she said, yeah. And he just starts crying because he knows, like, even if she is still alive, his son has completely fucked up. Like, it's a wrap. Yeah, this is horrible. Like, I don't ever plan on anything like this happening. I hope it never happens to any young kid I know. Like, but this shit is terrifying to me. Like, it is. I hope I pray this shit doesn't happen to my daughter because I'm gonna kill this nigga. That's a fact. Like, no. But all of this is horrifying to me. Like, the idea of being a parent and seeing any of this shit is just fucking just terrifying. Like, it just really is. Yeah, I mean, your thoughts.
Just fucked up. I was like, when he did it, I'm like, because I saw it before, and I'm like, oh, is she dead? And then smash cut 5 minutes later. I'm like, oh, this nigga's going to God damn, he killed her. Well, that sucks.
And actually, they were actually light because they only give him manslaughter like in the second degree.
Second degree murder, I think, right?
Yeah, they gave him second degree murder.
Murder, not manslaughter.
Right.
But he should have gotten 2 murder charges, technically.
Yeah. The baby and her.
I mean, but
when a woman is pregnant, they fucking nail you for 2.
But I mean, even then, they were like, he wouldn't be eligible for parole for like 30 years. He's only 18. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know what he did was incredibly fucked up, but he said you'll be in jail for the rest of your natural life, but was showing mercy, so you get 30 years. And I'm like, second degree murder warrants life?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's Florida. So who the fuck?
I thought it was like, it's just Florida, so who knows? But that seemed like, I know what he did. He was super fucked up, but that seemed like a wildly, like, that seemed crazy. But then there was no witnesses. It's just his word against no one else's. Like, what do you say? He didn't do it on purpose. So he still killed her. So he has to do time, but like life.
Yeah, you would think they would have given him like first degree murder for that.
Right. I don't know. It seemed like a super harsh sentence. And I'm like, did they do that because he's black or because that's the other thing. After that, I'm like, did he get this sentence because of the skin color? But then I'm like, oh, it's Florida. They don't fuck around.
I feel like a director who was a screenwriter and director who were black probably would have delved into that a little bit more. Because I wondered the same thing. I mean, it's tragic to see. I'm not a parent, but obviously, but like I can't imagine seeing my son ruin his life like that.
Yeah.
I agree that like life is. It seemed like a little much considering it's not like he went there with the intent of killing her. And he seemed like when he ran away, he was more scared than anything.
Just a side note. No, this is accurate, by the way. Second degree murder in Florida is penalty of up to 30 years in prison.
Dang.
Up to 30 years.
Up to 30.
But they said you'll be up for parole in 30. That's what he said.
30 years.
Yeah. So they didn't get that right. It should have just been 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, second degree murder when charged as a first degree felony could result in penalties up to 30 years in prison and up to $10,000 in fines. So yeah, that's fucked, man. That's really fucked. For
a mistake. That's the thing. But he couldn't prove it because there's literally no witnesses.
Right. I mean, you hit her and she fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it is a pretty good argument as to why you don't like fist fight on some fucking random shit, Because if somebody hit their head and die, you're in a world of trouble. It's a wrap for you, right?
Yep.
They discussed that shit on that show, The Bear, where he was like, did he wake up? And he was like, you better hope he wakes up. Like,
oh yeah, he was in jail.
He was in jail, and he was like, if this dude don't wake up, you go into big boy prison. And like, they woke his ass up, and they were like, hey, he woke up. You just getting aggravated assault. He was like, all right, I'll take it. Like, I'll take aggravated assault. Like, I get to go home today. Like, fuck that. But yeah, if the person hits their head, like, what are you going to do? Unless they attacked you and someone saw it. Like, if you are it's only the two of you, you gotta take that into consideration of like, before you decide you're going to get into a fist fight with somebody. So what I'm saying is fight people publicly. That's really what I'm saying. Like everybody watching, y'all watching. But that's what happened to fucking. That's what happened in Con Air, right? Like they attacked him, and then he like hit the dude, and he died. And he went to prison.
Con Air.
That's a classic movie. Don't disrespect.
Anyway,
don't
that poor girl and her parents, because like, I mean, that girl didn't deserve that.
Of course,
no one deserves that. No. But like,
it's horrible. It's
fucked up, man. And this is like kind of where I looked at the time stamp. I was like, wow, we're kind of, it's a little early in the movie. And I was thinking like,
damn, this is a tight hour. This is a good ass movie.
And I thought we would spend more time like maybe Sterling K. Brown reflecting on his own behaviors that led to Tyler being capable of doing something like this. Maybe we see Tyler reflecting on his behaviors in prison. But no, that's not what happens at all.
Nah,
I would have made it for a better movie, but
just another part of the wave.
I thought this was 2 hours.
They honestly could have just they could have ended the movie and then just replayed the first part again, and I'd have been like, all right, like that's cool. like the second half, I was like, I don't really need it.
The second half, which feels almost like a different movie.
Not only does it feel like a different movie, it feels twice as long as the first part.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. I was like, oh, the first part's 1 hour and 15 minutes, and the second part is 7 hours long. I got it. Cool. Makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, so we see him get sentenced to 30, or like you said, life in prison, but up for parole in 30 years. Look, he's 18. Like, he could actually have a reasonable life after prison. But you in prison for 30 years, you don't know what the fuck the world is like after that.
Yeah.
They got flying cars by the time your ass get out of here. Like, that's a wrap for you. That's crazy.
Fucking yes.
That's fucking horrifying. Like, it is. Like, that the idea of being put in prison for 30 years is horrifying to me. It really is. Or my daughter being put in prison for that long. Like that, no thank you. So it picks up with Emily, the sister of Tyler, who has been completely ignored in the first half of the movie. And she is like, here she is dealing in the wake of her brother, murdering this girl. She looks on social media, looks at this girl's social media. She sees like pictures of her brother and her brother and the murdered girl, Alexis. And everybody's like, this dude is evil, blah, blah, blah. I hope he gets gang raped every day in prison. I'm like, God damn. I mean, I get the comments, but Jesus Christ, that'd be horrible to read about your own brother. Right.
I'm really surprised that like none of the blowback like hit her, like personally.
Yeah, look, I got to tell you, when White Dude was standing in front of her, I ain't trusting you. I was like, why is your hand like that? Why is your hand like that? Why is your hand like that? I thought he was going to shoot her, dude. I swear to God, I thought so. I was like, this family can't take more loss, Like, no, Sterling K. Brown going to cry for 35 minutes if his daughter gets hurt, Like, but I was like, why is he talking to her? Get away from white man. Go over there. Like, get out of here. Beat it. No, I didn't trust him
at all. I'm like, is he playing the long game?
Right. Exactly.
Because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this nigga's about to do. Because I don't need this. I've seen enough movies that have terrible endings. I don't need this to end up terribly. But then I remember, right. I don't even think I remember the end of this shit. I don't. I didn't before.
Yeah,
I didn't trust him.
I did not trust that guy at all. I was like, I didn't like how he was shown shadowed for a while. I was like, this is pissing me off. Like, I could feel my anxiety getting up. I was like, Wikipedia. Like, I have to pull a TR and read ahead. Like,
I will. Okay, since you brought it up.
You did. You did. Come on,
I was bored. I was so bored. I'm like, I needed to know was something big going to happen because it was dragging for so long, and I was like, oh, this is just the romance between two kids. I was like, I don't care about this. No, don't.
It's the other wave.
None of this.
It's the wave.
It was more like this for me. It was more like this, and then this. I'm sorry. Like, I just honestly for this part of the movie, I probably forgot like 90% of it.
Wow.
It was just.
I mean, in fairness, nothing happens for 90% of it. So,
like the only part that I really remember is when she and Sterling K. Brown talk, and that's like towards the end.
Yeah. And I feel like Sterling K. Brown is being a bit of a dick. I feel like he's being a bit of a dick.
Yes. And because he says things to her and I'm like, this is your daughter. Like, go to therapy. Don't be telling her this.
It's emotionally very manipulative. I found it was.
Honestly,
but we'll get there.
It was the only time where I felt like I had like an actual think piece written up in my head about Black men emotionally dumping on Black women and girls,
Wow,
especially their daughters.
wow,
After-
wow. Jesus Christ. So black father trying to connect, and she's like, "Let me tell you about this."
Yeah, after he loses his son, now he finally pays attention to his daughter after 16 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Only to emotionally dump on her about his marriage. So inappropriate. It's the only time when I felt some connection to this movie.
I don't know who else to talk to. 18 years later.
She's like, "Yo, Dad."
Okay.
He was like,
go to therapy.
He was like, "Are you mine?" Girl, I don't know. What's your name?
What did their mother look like? Because they both kind of they lighter than him.
Yeah, Zach Brown is a pretty
You know,
dark guy. I thought about that too. I was like, is this a Cosby Show situation? Like, what's happening here?
Again, a fact of this movie that didn't serve any purpose at all.
No, the fact that she's a stepmom, like, was irrelevant. Like, it was just complete. It only made for, "You're not my mom, you fucking condescending bitch." I was like,
You're not my mom. That's what white people say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, I'm telling you right
But I
now,
guess we have to talk about
my
the
daughter
second half
better
of the
never
show.
open her mouth and say some wild shit like that. I'd be like, "Yo, you better relax." Like, yeah, you relax. You chill the fuck out with that shit. I don't play that. But yeah, it's look, this whole thing, she meets this guy named Luke, and you know, he's just like, he's about as like boring, generic of a character as you can find, right? He's this white kid. And he thinks she's beautiful because, you know, he has eyes, right? She's like, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, you know, she's a very beautiful young lady. Like, this is not some profound thing that he's saying. Like, girl, see, this is what happens when black men aren't there for their daughters. They get swept up by some white boy with a buzz cut. It looks like a fucking character from King of the Hill. Get the fuck out of here. Right now, yo. Well, be in your daughter's life, yo. God damn. Sterling.
Me and your daughter's life, protect her from white men. Is that the message?
You said it. I didn't say it.
White men in Florida?
Anywhere. Anywhere.
Unless they
no,
look
I wouldn't
like
give a fuck I wouldn't give a fuck if my daughter dated a white guy. I don't care. I don't
especially
give a
if they look like Chris Evans. Then
yeah, well, like, he got Chris Evans money. Go ahead, girl. Do you? Let us retire. Look, but it's no, yo, like, this guy has nothing going on. Like, he just doesn't. He seems like a nice kid, right? He's also on the wrestling team, so he knew who her brother was. So he wasn't like, "Oh, I hadn't heard anything." And like, when he said that, I was like, "Yeah, it must be some long game bullshit." Like, that's immediately what I thought. I was like, I don't trust it. But yeah, it turns out this kid is like totally reasonable. So it's just about them kind of like falling for each other. And then you come to find out, like, they go to like, yeah, they go to like parties and stuff like that together, and like, she's actually like genuinely quite happy with him. Then we find out that for some reason we needed a scene to find out that Sterling K. Brown and his wife are just not fucking. And Sterling K. Brown is like, "I need to blow your back out. That's how I get over my son doing 30 years. And she was like, "Sorry, I don't want to fuck you." I was like, what were your
I
voice?
was like, wow. Okay.
It was like, it says muffled conversation. That conversation was not muffled at all, Amazon. Like,
wait, I have one more thing about this movie. I felt like the sound was pretty low, that I could hardly hear the entire time.
no, I didn't have any trouble with that.
I feel like I had to turn it all the way up, just to pay attention to the film.
I feel like you were just falling asleep.
You know, actually, I feel like the more that I listen to you recap this movie,
you just missed all of this.
the less I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, imagine if you were doing the recap.
I mean,
this
we
would
could
be
fly through the rest of this shit. There's like three major parts that we could talk about.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, like the stepmom, Miss Waves, Catherine. She's like, "Look, sorry, you know, it's Miss Waves. It's the Waves family. Everybody knows that." She's like, "Look,
Sterling K. Brown being selfish again."
Yeah, he's like, look, I needed to blow your back out. Like that's what I'm here for. And she was like, I don't want to fuck you. You make me sick. You're disgusting. Every time I look at you, I see him. And she's like, let me grieve my own way. Look, I get it. I mean, I can't imagine what that situation would feel like. Like, how do you have any intimacy? How do you have anything that you just watch your son go to jail for 30 years? Like, I don't know I don't know how long it would take you to even recover to like being able to enjoy things. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not just losing your son. You know in your heart of hearts that your son's actions and partially your actions caused you to lose your son, but your son caused someone else to lose their kid.
Yep.
Like, and there's no visiting. Like, they can't visit their daughter. Their daughter is dead. So it's like, it's even more finite. Like, so it's, I don't know. Like, there is a line. I mean, yes, he's being selfish. Like, come on, let's have sex or whatever. But there is that whole idea of like, there's a thin line between sort of, like that emotional rawness, like after a funeral, some people like have sex, like that is a thing because people are just like emotionally very vulnerable and like they need that sort of intimacy and stuff like that. And that's probably, they don't explain that, but that's probably where he's coming from instead of like, come on girl, take your panties off. Like it's probably more of an intimacy thing, but she's so fucked up. She just like, yo, that's not how I'm grieving. Like she just
it sounds like at this point they haven't had sex in probably since the whole thing went down. And at this point you can probably guess that some time has passed. But Jay, I would have loved to learn how a couple like this moves past or at least deals with their son killing someone else. If only more time was spent on this dynamic than, I don't know, watching two teenagers lose their virginity. Look, time better spent could have.
Yes. You know what? Speaking of time, didn't take a lot of time. Oh, shit. Like, really? That's it? Come on, dog. Like, god damn. I'll take a baseball or something. But I just found it funny. Oh, I could try again. I'm like, yeah, I think you might need to. Like,
aww.
It was like 14 seconds. Like, come on, man. God damn.
I mean, they're like 16.
You shouldn't be having sex. Look what happened to your brother. See?
Wow. I mean, if there's one thing between this couple and the other one, this one is far less toxic and has.
Oh, it's not. It doesn't seem toxic at all.
Happy ending.
I mean,
it's not toxic at all.
Like she quite literally found a guy who's not like her brother, right? He's not like cornered off. He's not compartmentalized. He's not like, he's open. Like he's actually open to her. He listens to her. He like the decision that he makes. And this is the one of like three major things that happen in this whole section of the movie. He finds out his biological father is dying of cancer. And he's like, I don't fuck with him like that. Like, he deserved cancer. He beat on my mom. He beat on me. Whatever. He can go die. And she's like, yo, you got to go see him because you're going to deeply regret it if you don't. Right? Because he's got like a week to live. And he listens to her. Right? And he's like, oh, shit. Okay. Like, you might be right. And, he goes and he's trying to like, well, actually, before they even go to see her dad, you get the Sterling K. Brown conversation where he's like trying to connect with her. He's like, I ain't talked to you in 16 years. This is crazy. I didn't know you could speak. And he's just like, look, I want to apologize. I felt like I haven't spoken to you in some time, 16 fucking years. And so he's like, look, let me dump all of my shit onto you about how your mother, she don't want nothing to do with me. This ain't my fault. I'm just trying to be a black man and survive, provide for y'all. And then she's like, nah, Dad, you good? Which is fucked up. I found it to be very emotionally manipulative.
It felt so awkward and almost business like,
yeah.
she like they asked each other like, "How are you doing with everything?" And it's just like,
how are your
that's what I
TPS
asked.
reports?
Yeah, that's what I asked my coworkers after we've had a stressful week at work. Like, not my father about a situation that affects his son and my brother. Like,
Right.
basically being out of our lives for pretty much, definitely probably for the rest of Sterling K. Brown's life, but also for a significant part of hers. It felt so stilted, obviously, and this is like probably on purpose because since they have no relationship. But I felt the awkwardness in that conversation, especially after he started emotionally dumping on her about his marriage.
Yeah, it's incredibly fucked up. But I will say he does deliver those lines. Like Sterling K. Brown is like, he's in his bag in the scene, man. Like he's super good. He's an amazing dramatic actor. He really is. The other point I'll make is I cannot help but to see this scene and think, wow, this girl looks exactly like what I imagine my daughter will look like at the same age, and it fucking creeps me out. Like it's so weird because like she has a very similar like facial structure as my daughter. But I hope I never have to have a conversation like this of like, I don't know nothing about you. What you up to? What'd you do? Huh? Like the shit is fucked up. But the
Like,
fact that she's consoling him is just horrendous.
Wrong. So wrong.
It's very wrong. But this is the funny thing is this is my relationship with my father. Like he don't cry and shit because he's emotionally dead inside. But like anytime I talk to him, he's like, "Oh, your mother this." I'm like, "Yo, why are we talking? Like, why are you trying to like dump the shit on me? Like, nigga, I don't want to hear that." Like, but that's what he does. It's the same thing. It's emotionally very manipulative. And like when I saw this, I was like, this all seems very familiar to me. And this is why I don't talk to this dude anymore. Like I just don't. But yeah, the fact that she isn't able to tell him anything that's going on in her life is crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. She's 16. Like you're supposed to be able to talk to your dad. Like you are. Like that's like as a son or a daughter, you're supposed to be able to talk to your dad and your mom and be like, yo, shit ain't going well. My brother just got sentenced to 30 years in prison and I still have to go to the fucking school that he killed a girl at. Like, yeah, it's a little hard, Dad. Like, shit's not going sweet. Like, and he never answered that. Like, he doesn't make any like probing questions.
And also, in the midst of this tragedy, her silver lining is that she's falling in love for the first time,
right?
And she can't really talk to either of her parents about it. Yeah. And also, would have been nice to kind of see it, maybe they did, and I just was paying attention. But like,
probably.
Like knowing more about how if she felt conflicted about falling in love while her brother is, spending the rest of his life in jail, and all this happening at the same time. Right.
And it's yeah, and she's angry. Like she's angry at him. She's like, he's a monster, he's evil and everything else. And Sterling K. Brown's character, Ronald, like he has a great line. He's like, he's not a monster, he's not evil, he's a human being. And he's a human being who made a mistake. And he is. Like that is what Tyler is. Like he fucked up. Right? Like, and that can happen, it can happen it happens to many people. It can happen. I wouldn't say it can happen to anyone, but it can certainly happen to a lot of people. And it is like that sort of dichotomy of her falling in love with this guy, and trying desperately to find what about him is different than her brother at the same time of having to then still grieve. Because she's still grieving her brother, right? Like she lost him. Yeah, that's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And the fact that Sterling K. Brown's character is like, yeah, I'm not gonna really ask what's going on with you. Like, I mean, you're gone all the time and shit. Like, you'd probably be all right, right? But you're going to Everglades. Like, he don't give a fuck. Like, it's just weird. So yeah, it's a bit odd. Especially considering how much of a religious person he is, right? Like you would think that he would want to have some level of connection with him. And like they come to some level of I would say reconciliation, but again, it's still on the backs of like her carrying all this emotional baggage for him. So, yeah.
Do we see a lot of interactions between her and Catherine?
No.
I think so.
No. I mean, I mean,
I don't think there were any. Were there any at all?
No, not
I don't
really.
think so.
Yeah, not really.
This girl is literally figuring out life by herself. Meanwhile, both of her parents have been have made Tyler the center of their world in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's the firstborn. He's the oldest, right? He's a boy, right? Society says you gotta, focus on that. Women will be okay, right? Like this young girl, the fact that Tyler got so much attention and ended up in the way that he did versus her getting no attention and actually ending up being this like pretty whole and reasonable person, and having her own opinions and being kind of forceful about them, even to her boyfriend, in a good way, like is an interesting sort of like dichotomy between those two characters. So then we see, she's like, look, you need to go see your dad. She goes along with him. She tells her parents like, hey, I'm going to go to my friend's beach house or whatever, or lake house. Yeah, I'll be gone for a couple days. Again, like, like they just go off and do whatever they want. This is
y'all never did that as teenagers, just 16-year-olds being like, going to this place for 2 days. See you later, mom and dad.
Whose money?
Right? Do I have? Do I have McDonald's money? She was like, "Oh, you could just drive my car to a different state. Does it? My car wouldn't make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry about it. You good? Nah. This is not happening. So they go to see Luke's
88
dad.
Sentra.
Oh, you thought you were hot shit.
88 black Sentra. That was my mother's car. She gave it to me and got a new one.
Yeah, I had an 89 Volkswagen Rabbit. That thing was a piece of shit. My mom bought it for $500.
Jesus Christ.
It's not. Yeah, well, it's better than Micah's Geo Storm that his big ass couldn't fit in. So, whatever. That car was a piece of shit.
Geo Storm. What did he call it?
He called it the Storm. He did.
I gotta use bathroom.
So they go to see Luke's father, who's died of cancer, and he's like, look, he says very limited words because he's died of cancer, obviously, but he's like, look, I kind of regret some decisions I made, and so Luke is happy that he made the decision to come and see his dad. Thanks to Emily, who convinced him to do so. And while they're there, his dad dies. Like, he dies in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And Luke is pretty broken up about it, even though he had this really strained relationship with his father. Which makes me think, about like my dad and like, would I go to see him if he was in this situation? And I don't know. I like to think I would. I like to think that I'm that mature. I don't know that I would be that broken up about it though, which is a fucked up thing for me to say out loud.
Well, it could be.
This is because I don't have a relationship with him.
Well, also with Luke, it could be him being broken up about the relationship that will never be. Yeah, like, because at least when someone, when someone is alive, there's always potential for things to change. But at this point, this is it. And also, Luke is young, 16. Probably wish his father was around, and now like his dad is gone.
Right. So yeah, I don't.
There's also something else about that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
We never see Ronald visit Tyler in prison.
Yeah, I thought that was
one time, and seeing this kind of full circle moment between Luke and his dad makes you think about the forgiveness that Luke had to give his father for everything that he did. And it makes me wonder if the fact that we didn't see something similar between Ronald and Tyler was done purposefully, because it would be Tyler. I'm pretty sure Tyler has a lot of resentment, which again, like, oh God, I can't believe I like this movie even less, because then I'm thinking about it, like, I would have liked to see Tyler Tyler kind of confront his resentment in a healthier way towards his father about why he ended up where he is. Not saying that Ronald's responsible for Tyler's actions at all, because Ronald didn't hit that girl, but I would feel some type of way about my father pushing me to a point where I felt like I was capable of doing something like that. But we never get that kind of resolution between the two. There's really no even interaction for the rest of the film. And I feel like that was such a big missed opportunity, especially when this is supposed to be about a upper class Black family going through, loss and forgiveness and the waves or whatever the fuck. But instead but instead we're left with these questions because we see it done in a healthier way through Emily's experience. And I felt like for this film, they should have done both. They should have shown us both, but we didn't get that.
Right. And look, that goes to the point that I was making in my initial review, which is like, there's not enough connective tissue from part 1 to part 2. Or part 2 back to part 1 is a better way of saying that. Like, you're right. Like, there should be, you don't have to tie it up in a bow, but you should have some, like, the parallels, right? Like this idea of what it means to forgive even in the face of a horrendous situation.
Tragedy.
Right? Like Ronald has to forgive his son. And Ronald has to forgive himself. And Tyler has to forgive his dad. Like, that has to be their journey as humans. Like, because you can't spend 30 years of your life just in prison. Like, that nigga never saw me. Like, it is his fault. Like, that'll kill you. That'll destroy you. Like, it'll destroy you. You have to have that moment of, even if it's at the very end of the film and you just see Ronald sit down next to, just sit down across from his son. You don't have to say a word, because all that would leave is that is open. Like, that door is now open for that forgiveness, for that dialogue to actually happen. Like, real dialogue.
We don't even see that with Emily and Tyler.
Right.
And we're like early in the film, we see Emily like console him over something. And so I guess like it's supposed to give us some idea that they have a pretty good relationship. But considering everything that she told her dad, like, oh, he's evil, then he's like, no, he's just a human being, and then we see her consoling Luke. It would have been nice to see her also kind of come full circle and working to forgive her brother. But
yeah. Well, like I thought what was going to happen, and I don't hold headcanon as like a reason not to like a movie. I think that's silly. But like I did think what they were trying to show was her spurring Luke into forgiving his father would kind of ignite something in her own mind of like, all right, as I'm helping this dude who's not in my family deal with this tragedy and watching his father die and connecting with his father in that last moment, on my way home from this, I swing by the prison and I see my brother, right? And just be like, look, I had these feelings about you. It wasn't fair. I want to, like, let's start this dialogue. Again, you don't have to see that dialogue. You just need to see her going to visit him, right? Like, we only saw the mom just sit down across from what we assume is Tyler on the other side, right? Like, so we never even got to see them interact. That's enough. That's enough. But for the mom to be the character who's doing it is weird, because like their last interaction is just like, fuck you condescending bitch. Like, yeah, he's mad at her or whatever. And she's, disappointed in what happened. But the real connections to him are through the sister and through the dad, right? The potential reason he's the way he is through his dad, and this forgiveness character in his sister. So it feels weird for the mom, who has almost no connection to anybody else, for her to be the connection into Tyler. It just sits weird.
And also, we didn't really see Catherine and Tyler's relationship develop like that. And so it's an odd choice to make.
Yeah, I just, like, of all the characters, I wouldn't have gone with the mom. I wouldn't know
The
what happened.
director, I didn't. Now I'm like interested to read if the director gave any type of explanation for some of the choices made, because I want to understand what he was thinking.
Yeah.
For the second half.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but like that just, to me, it just felt a little odd. But then, you know, Emily comes home. She told her mom, like, hey, you know, like, I'll be home. Like, yeah, you caught me. I wasn't really at like beach week or whatever. But I'm coming home. But you know, I did something I think you'll be, you know, I'll explain. I think you'll be proud of the way you raised me and stuff like that. Which again is a very weird text. Like, it's just a very weird text. But then she comes home and I guess she explains it. Like, we don't see that explanation, but that's okay. And then she goes and rides her bike. And she uses no hands, and then she just kind of rides off into the sunset. And then the movie fades to credits, which is, again, a very weird ending, but I would have liked...
It started how it began. That's exactly how the movie started.
Right. Yeah,
she was riding her bike down the street, and then it ended that way. I'm like, okay.
Waves, bro.
Did the wave come crashing in on itself?
Yeah, I guess so.
Back to square one, or whatever.
See, Tiara? There you go. Waves, yo. The waves.
Shut up. No. Okay, fine. Whatever.
Is the movie named after like there were no do-rags in this movie? So like I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
I was waiting for someone to make that joke, but it came finally.
Yeah. Look. Much like Jesus, I may not be there when you need me, but I'm right on time. Right? Isn't that what Christians say?
Is that a thing?
Is that what they say? I think that's what they say. We'll have to ask Michael when he comes back. He won't know either. He'll never know none of that shit. All right. That is it for this episode of Black on Black Cinema, episode 225 for Waves. We will be back next week with a preview episode for episode 226. All right. Later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the black community.